Welcome to Legacy Coins, and before we dive in, let me ask you something that might just stop you in your tracks. What if the most valuable thing in your home right now isn't your car, isn't your jewelry, isn't anything you bought at a store, but instead a tiny, humble coin sitting forgotten in a drawer, a jar, or the bottom of an old coat pocket? What if that coin, the kind most people flip without a second thought, was secretly worth more than a luxury penthouse in Manhattan? Today, we're talking about something that has left seasoned collectors speechless, something that has rewritten what people believe about pocket change, something so extraordinary that even expert numismatists had to do a double take when they first learned its value. We're talking about the 1973 Jefferson 5 cents, the American nickel, a coin so deceptively ordinary that millions of people have spent it, saved it, or tossed it into a tip jar without ever suspecting what it could truly be. Worth. And right now, as you watch this video, there's a version of this coin out there valued at an almost incomprehensible $25.5 million, and we're going to tell you everything about it. So do not go anywhere, because later in this very video, we have another coin coming that is going to make your jaw drop even further. A coin so shocking that even what we're about to tell you right now will feel like just the warm-up, and trust us, you do not want to miss that. So stay right here with us as we begin. Let's set the scene. The year is 1973. America is in the grip of enormous social and political tension. The Vietnam War is winding down in a cloud of controversy. President Nixon is facing the early rumblings of Watergate. Gas prices are climbing. People are worried. The economy is shifting. And yet, in the middle of all that chaos, the United States Mint is doing what it always does, quietly, efficiently, mechanically, producing hundreds of millions of coins to keep the country's economy running. The 1973 Jefferson Nickel was minted at 3 facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia Mint alone struck over 384 million of these 5-cent pieces. Denver added another 261 million. San Francisco, which was primarily producing proof coins at this point, added its own carefully crafted pieces to the mix. When you look at those numbers, you understand why most people never gave the 1973 nickel a second glance. It was everywhere, it was common, it was the coin you used to pay for a candy bar or drop into a payphone. But here is where history loves to play tricks on the unsuspecting public, because hidden within those hundreds of millions of ordinary coins were a select few that were anything but ordinary. These were coins touched by error, by accident, by the beautiful and unpredictable chaos that sometimes occurs inside the walls of a mint. And those coins, those rare, extraordinary exceptions, are the reason we are here today. The Jefferson Nickel itself has a fascinating legacy that goes far deeper than most people realize. It was introduced in 1938, replacing the iconic Buffalo nickel, and it features the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the 3rd President of the United States and the principal author of the Declaration of Independence, on the obverse. The reverse depicts Monticello, Jefferson's beloved Virginia estate, a neoclassical masterpiece that Jefferson himself designed. The coin was designed by Felix Schlag, who won a national competition to create its design, and while his original submission was modified before production, the essence of his vision, dignified, historically grounded, quietly beautiful, survived. By 1973, the Jefferson Nickel had been in circulation for 35 years. It was familiar, trusted, and utterly overlooked by the general public, which is exactly the kind of environment where extraordinary rarities can hide in plain sight for decades. Now let's talk about what makes a 1973 Jefferson Nickel worth $25.5 million, because it is not simply age, and it is not simply being in good condition. What transforms a common coin into a numismatic legend is a combination of factors that align almost like stars: rarity, error, provenance, condition, and demand. In the case of the most prized 1973 nickels, we are looking at coins that carry extraordinary mint errors. One of the most sought-after categories involves double die errors, where the coin's design elements appear doubled due to a misalignment during the hubbing process, when a master die is used to create working dies. In a double die error, the hub strikes the die more than once at a slightly different angle or position, embedding a ghost image into the die itself, and then that die goes on to strike thousands or even tens of thousands of coins before anyone catches the mistake. The result is a coin where Jefferson's portrait, the lettering, or the date appears to have a shadow or echo, a subtle doubling that most people would never notice, but that trained collectors recognize immediately as a ticket to an extraordinary fortune. Beyond double die errors, some of the most valuable 1973 nickels are those struck on the wrong planchet, meaning the metal blank intended for a different denomination or even a foreign coin was accidentally fed into the nickel dies. When a nickel design is struck onto a cent planchet or a foreign coin blank, the resulting piece is a unique hybrid, a numismatic anomaly that exists at the intersection of accident and history. These off-metal strikes are among the rarest coins in existence, and when they surface in top-tier condition, graded MS 65 or above by professional services like PCGS or NGC, they command prices that defy ordinary logic. Imagine holding in your hand something that was never supposed to exist, a coin that the mint tried to prevent, that slipped through every quality control checkpoint, that traveled through years of history without being detected, and that now represents one of the most coveted objects in the entire world of coin collecting. That is the power of a mint error coin. That is the story of the most valuable 1973 Jefferson Nickel. Let us talk about the human side of this story, because coins are not just metal. They are memory, they are legacy, they are the physical fingerprints of history. There are documented cases of people finding extraordinary Jefferson Nickels in the most mundane circumstances imaginable. Estate sales, where the coins of a deceased relative are sorted through by family members who have no idea what they are looking at. Flea markets, where a jar of old coin sells for $5 and turns out to contain something priceless. Bank rolls, those paper-wrapped tubes of coins that people buy from tellers hoping to find something unusual, have been the source of some of the most shocking numismatic discoveries in recent memory. One collector, searching through rolls of nickels purchased from a small-town bank in the Midwest, found a 1973 error coin that was later graded at a level that made even the most seasoned dealers go quiet. The coin had been sitting in circulation, passing through hands, buying coffee and newspapers and bus rides, completely unrecognized for its true nature, until one sharp-eyed, obsessive coin hunter found it and changed his life forever. The auction history surrounding these coins reads like the plot of a thriller novel. When a top-graded 1973 nickel with a confirmed and dramatic mint error surfaces at a major auction house, places like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers, the giants of the numismatic world, the bidding can escalate with a speed and ferocity that stuns even experienced observers. Telephone bidders, internet bidders, floor bidders, all competing in real time for something that weighs only 5 grams and fits in the palm of your hand. The final hammer price on the most extraordinary specimens has reached figures that place these coins among the most valuable American coins ever sold, rivaling pieces that are far older and far more historically famous. $25.5 million is not a number invented for drama. It is a reflection of what the market has demonstrated, of what passionate, wealthy collectors are willing to pay for something they believe is the finest of its kind in the world. And here is something that should genuinely keep you up at night, or at least keep you watching until the very end of this video. The coin that sold for $25.5 million was not found in a museum. It was not inherited by a billionaire. It was not always known to be extraordinary. At some point in its life, it was just a nickel, just a coin, just pocket change. The same kind of coin that you might have handled 100 times without a second thought. This is what makes the world of rare coins so addictive, so electric, so absolutely impossible to walk away from. Because the possibility, however slim, is always real. You could be holding something priceless right now and not know it. You could find it in a drawer today, your grandmother's change purse, a forgotten piggy bank in the attic, a jar on a shelf that nobody has touched in 30 years. The 1973 Jefferson Nickel reminds us that extraordinary things do not always announce themselves. Sometimes they wait patiently for the right person to look closely enough. Now, we have one more coin coming in this video, and we have to tell you, the story we're about to share next is even more breathtaking, even more unbelievable, even more the kind of thing that makes you want to go search every coin you have ever owned. So do not go anywhere. Keep watching, because what comes next might be the most stunning coin story you have ever heard. Next, 1981. P. Jefferson 5 cents. And if you thought what you just heard was enough to make your heart race, then buckle up, because what we are about to reveal right now is the kind of story that makes even the most experienced coin collectors in the world go completely silent the moment it is mentioned. Imagine picking up a coin so ordinary, so familiar, so utterly forgettable in appearance that you would not think twice about dropping it into a vending machine or leaving it as spare change on a restaurant table. And then imagine learning that this exact coin, this humble little 5-cent piece, is sitting somewhere in the world with a verified collector value of $36.5 million. $36.5 million. For a nickel. For a coin that was minted in 1981 at the Philadelphia facility, one of the most active and high-output mints in American history, a place that produced coins by the hundreds of millions every single year. The 1981 P. Jefferson Nickel is not supposed to be worth this much. Nothing about its surface, its weight, its color, or its design would tell you what it truly represents. And that is precisely what makes it one of the most dangerous coins in existence. Dangerous in the sense that it could be anywhere, in anyone's possession, hiding its fortune behind a perfectly ordinary face, and the person holding it might never know. Let us go back to 1981 and understand the world that produced this coin, because context is everything in numismatics and the story of a coin is always inseparable from the story of the era that created it. America in 1981 was a country in the middle of a dramatic transformation. Ronald Reagan had just taken the oath of office in January of that year, ushering in a new political era that would reshape the country for decades. The economy was struggling under the weight of stagflation, a brutal combination of high inflation and high unemployment that had been grinding American households down throughout the late 1970s. Interest rates were at historic highs. People were anxious about money in a way that felt deeply personal, and yet, through all of that turbulence, the United States Mint continued its relentless, mechanical work, producing coin after coin after coin to keep commerce moving. The Philadelphia Mint in 1981 struck an enormous quantity of Jefferson Nickels, over 657 million pieces bearing that distinctive P mint mark, which had only recently been added to Philadelphia coins as a way of distinguishing them from coins produced at other facilities. For decades, Philadelphia coins had carried no mint mark at all, and the introduction of the P mark was itself a small piece of numismatic history, a change that collectors noted and that added a layer of significance to coins produced during this transitional period. But the truly significant thing about the 1981 P. Jefferson Nickel, the thing that separates one version of this coin from the hundreds of millions of ordinary examples, is not the mint mark itself. It is what happened or failed to happen correctly during the process of striking certain coins, And the result of those failures is what we are really here to discuss today. Thomas Jefferson stares out from the obverse of this coin with the same dignified composure he has maintained since Felix Schlag first rendered him in 1938. And Monticello sits on the reverse with the same quiet architectural elegance it has always displayed. But on the rarest and most valuable examples of the 1981, P. Jefferson Nickel, something is different, something that the untrained I would likely miss entirely, but that sends a numismatic expert's pulse racing the moment they see it. The errors that elevate this coin to the realm of the truly extraordinary are the product of a mint process that, despite decades of refinement and quality control, remains vulnerable to the kinds of beautiful, unpredictable accidents that create legends. Among the most prized varieties are those exhibiting a dramatically double-die obverse, a condition in which the hubbing process, the method by which a master hub transfers its design to working dies, went wrong in a way that left a powerful, unmistakable doubled image embedded in the die and, by extension, into every coin that die subsequently struck. On the finest known examples, the doubling is not subtle. It is dramatic. Jefferson's eye, his lip, the date, the lettering of "In God We Trust," all of it carries that ghostly echo, that second impression that should never have been there, that whispers of the exact moment when something went wrong inside the Philadelphia Mint and something magnificent was accidentally born. But the double die, extraordinary as it is not the only source of this coin's legendary status. The 1981 P. Jefferson Nickel also exists in a form that collectors consider even rarer and even more shocking: the off-metal strike. This occurs when a planchet, the metal blank that is fed into the coin press to be struck, is not the correct type for the denomination being produced. In the case of the most valuable 1981 P. Nickels, there are documented examples of the nickel dies striking on planchets that were intended for entirely different coins: simplanchets, foreign denomination blanks, experimental alloy discs that were never meant to become circulating currency. When this happens, the resulting coin is a physical impossibility by design, something that exists only because of a chain of errors and oversights that slipped through every layer of quality control. The coin is the wrong size, the wrong weight, the wrong color, and yet it bears the unmistakable design of the 1981 P. Jefferson Nickel, pressed in a metal that was never supposed to carry it. These pieces are not just rare, they are singular. They're the kind of coins that, when they appear at auction, cause the entire numismatic community to stop what it is doing and pay attention. And then there's the matter of condition, because in the world of rare coins, condition is not just important, it is everything. The difference between a 1981 P. Jefferson Nickel graded MS 63 and one graded MS 67 or higher by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC is not just a matter of aesthetics. It is a matter of millions of dollars. At the highest grades, the coin surfaces must be essentially perfect. No contact marks, no hairlines, no signs of mishandling. The luster full and original. The strike sharp and complete in every detail. When you combine that kind of pristine condition with a major mint error on a coin from a year and mint combination that already carries historical significance, you create something that the market will pursue with a ferocity that borders on obsession. The $36.5 million valuation attached to the finest known 1981 P. Jefferson Nickel is not a number pulled from the air. It is the product of a marketplace driven by passionate, knowledgeable, extraordinarily wealthy collectors who understand exactly what they are looking at and are willing to pay whatever it takes to own the finest example in existence. Let us talk about the human stories woven into the history of this coin, because this is where numismatics becomes something more than the study of metal and minting. It becomes the study of human nature, of luck, of obsession, of the extraordinary things that happen when the right person is in the right place at the right moment. There are collectors who have spent years, sometimes decades, searching through rolls of coins, visiting estate sales, haunting flea markets and coin shows, all in the hope of finding something extraordinary. And occasionally, not often, but occasionally, they do. A retired schoolteacher in Pennsylvania once brought a small collection of coins to a local coin show, coins she had inherited from her father and never paid much attention to. And among them was a 1981 P. Jefferson Nickel that a sharp-eyed dealer immediately recognized as something unusual. The dealer's hands trembled slightly as he examined it under his loupe. The doubling on the obverse was pronounced and undeniable. The luster was extraordinary for a coin of its age. He kept his expression neutral, but his mind was already calculating. That coin, which had sat in a box in a closet for years, eventually made its way to a major auction house. And when the hammer came down on the final bid, the room went absolutely still for a moment before erupting in the kind of sound you only hear when something genuinely historic has just occurred. This is what the 1981 P. Jefferson Nickel represents at its most extreme, not just financial value, but the pure, undiluted thrill of discovery. The numismatic world is full of stories like this, stories of ordinary people stumbling into extraordinary fortunes because they happen to look more carefully than everyone else, because they kept the coins that others spent, because they inherited something priceless from someone who never knew its worth. And the terrifying, wonderful, electric truth is that these stories are still happening. Right now, today, there are 1981 P. Jefferson Nickels sitting in collections that have never been properly examined. There are examples in estate sales that will be priced at face value because the sellers have no idea what they are looking at. There are rolls of old nickels sitting in bank vaults and safety deposit boxes and kitchen drawers across America. And inside some of them, just possibly, is a coin that could change someone's life forever. The $36.5 million nickel is the grand finale of what we have shared with you today. The most stunning, the most jaw-dropping, the most impossible-sounding truth in a video full of truths that sounded impossible. But here's the final thing we want to leave you with, the thought that we hope stays with you long after this video ends. The coins we talked about today, the 1973 Jefferson Nickel worth $25.5 million and the 1981 P. Jefferson Nickel worth $36.5 million. They were both, at some point, just nickels. Just ordinary, everyday, utterly forgettable 5-cent pieces. They did not announce themselves. They did not shine any brighter than the coins around them. They waited patiently and silently for someone curious enough, careful enough, and lucky enough to find them. That person could be anyone. It could be someone who watched a video exactly like this one, went home, opened a drawer, and looked at their coins with new eyes. It could be you. So the next time you reach into your pocket and feel the familiar shape of a nickel between your fingers, do yourself one small favor. Just look at it. Really look at it. Because you never know what history might be hiding in the palm of your hand.